just a few more minutes since we see a couple of candidates over here. Do you mind sharing which schools are you targeting and the rounds? Meanwhile, because this session is going to be focused on Fuqua, Ross, and Darden. So, which of these schools are you targeting? Please feel free to drop them in the chat here. Are you going for September 26 intake round 2, or you're going for any other intake thereafter? Help us understand that.
Right. And yeah, guys, I think today is going to be a very close interactive session. We haven't marketed this much, looking at the way the USB schools, are. So yeah, I mean, all of you who are here, let's have a good interaction and conversation if you're really interested in applying to USB schools in R2.
Yes. So is it R2, Fuqua, Ross, Darden? Help us understand, Akshita, Shiv. I see a couple of people here. Zwikom, Borrero. Help us understand which schools are you targeting. So we'll prioritize the ones. Oh, okay. That's all right. All right. Shiv is doing Ross and Darden. Are you doing round 2 as well? Okay. Yeah, but you can all type out. It's okay if you can't write. We can start already. Okay, so just a little introduction. Most of you already know us. I'm the co-founder of MBA and Beyond. Shantanu is the founder of MBA and Beyond, also in INSEAD alum. I'll just keep the introduction short and just get on to the questions directly. Shantanu, over to you quickly.
Yeah, guys. Hey, everyone. I'm Shantanu. First of all, thanks a lot for being here. Another round of Hunger Games. Good to see you all. Good to see a few familiar faces. And yeah, I mean, today the session is on Raw Star and Fuqua. We started this series, I think two months ago, right, where we decided we are going to talk about the USB schools. So hence we are over here. Today we are picking up Raw Star and Fuqua. I think last time we did Howard, Stanford, and Wharton. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paridi, right? So yeah, guys, please chime in, and then whatever. If there's anything that you really want to understand, and if I can really make you understand in an hour, I would more than happy to do so.
Yeah. So to begin with, we're going to go over the most critical questions, essay questions in each of these schools, followed by if there is any other questions related to that. I mean, if you've got any questions related to these questions that we're discussing as we are discussing, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box over here, or raise your hands. If there is any other question which is unrelated to these schools or, anything outside of the box, please hold those questions up until we finish these 3 questions, and then you can later we can discuss all other questions that you have. So we'll start with a Fuqua essay question, essay 1, Shantanu. The team, Fuqua spirit and community is one of the things that sets the MBA experience apart. And it is a concept that extends beyond the student body to include faculty, staff, and administration. Please share with us 25 random things about you. The admissions committee wants to get to know you beyond the professional and academic achievements listed in your resume and transcript. Share with us important life experiences, your hobbies, achievements, fun facts, or anything that helps us understand what makes you who you are. So, yeah, 25 random things. How should one really approach this? Because I am assuming they are not definitely random with all the structure given to the question itself.
Right, right. So we just now have an applicant who actually who got through Darden with $90,000 scholarship, is also awaiting from Fuqua and Ross. I think our interview happened just now, and Darden, she applied in early action. That's why. But yeah, on Fuqua, especially the 25 random things, I think it's one of the most interesting questions which B schools generally ask, right? I mean, whatever you use over here, it's not like you can copy and paste it in some other essay, at some other school, right? Because this, first of all, needs to be really random. I mean, you can't just repeat what's there on the resume. you know you can't just say a random thing about me is that I moved a success metric from here to here. A random thing about me is I was the employee of the quarter. No, not like this. Just to give you guys a little flavor of what are the types of types of points that qualify under this essay is and this is a successful one, guys. I have 5 tattoos, each marking a different phase of my life. One day I hope they'll tell the story of a life lived authentically and on my own terms. Right, these are the sort of stuff. Now, for instance, my birthday falls on June 5, World Environment Day. I've made it a tradition to plant trees every year on my birthday, right? And this person, I'm not able to find that point over here. I know why, but I remember this person also talked about I'm not on Instagram, so I save a lot of time. And every quarterly, I pick up a hobby. At the moment, I'm doing blah blah blah. So yeah, guys, these are the sort of things that you should talk about. And I think the best way to bring these things out is you should split your entire journey into childhood, adolescence, which reminds me of the series. Yeah, but like when you were in college, that sort of adolescence, adult, I would say, when you're in college, you're not adolescent anymore. And then when you're working, right, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do outside of work. So refrain from talking about professional stuff over here. That is not appreciated at all for this particular essay. And I would say just stick to really random and interesting things about me. Now while I'm talking about this, it's like of other successful applicants that I've also done previously, just popping up in my head. Again, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it out word by word, but it went like, I think I'm a detective, and I've successfully watched then it's like top 10 these series on Netflix. And I would love to play a detective game with my teammates when I'm at Fuqua. You know, um, Other one, there was this person who in 25 Random Things mentioned that I'm a queer, and for me, and the way I opened out was during a cocktail party, you know, to my brother, and the life changed since then. So again, this is a random thing, right? And then simultaneously, I think that applicant also wrote, I don't have a sweet tooth for chocolate, so whatever I'm going to get during my entire 2 years, my learning team can have it, or my study group can have it. There was another person who mentioned, um, I've traveled outside of India and learned how to make Afghani biryani, and I'm very famous for that. So during the long assignment nights, I'm going to be the one who's going to be bringing it to the team, right? I mean, eventually, guys, you guys are doing a B school application, so obviously, a few points are going to be aligned over there, right? Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Any other question anyone has?
Yeah, so I mean, meanwhile, if people are thinking this through, I'd love to discuss a little more about this, Shantanu. So as of course, some schools really focus on the personal angles of the stories, and Fuqua being one of those schools, like Stanford does it, INSEAD does it, where they really want to, and LBS does it too, where they really want you to talk about stuff that's outside of work and that's not your professional life or your college or anything, but picking 25 random things is so huge. And while we understand that you have to break them down into phases like childhood, then adolescence, adult life, college, and then broken it down into your young professional life. So you can have, let's say, 4 to 5 phases that you can break it down into. Um, is there a structure that we can, even though it's random, because there's a pattern that's coming out of it, which is contribution to the school, your differentiators, which is your USP. Is there a format that, when we're thinking about the 25 random things that we can follow to start with? So that, like if somebody is really thinking of just 5 things from 5 different phases of their life, What should those
I get what
five
you're saying.
individual things be, and what should they align more towards? Like, let's say,
Yeah.
contribution to Fuqua, etc.
Right, right. That's a very good question. And since we also mentioned other schools like Stanford from a very long time has had what matters to you the most. Fuqua 25 random things has been like I don't even know
Forever.
since when. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It has been always, right? LBS guys just brought in last year the uniqueness thing, right? Um, um, Howard earlier, I think 3 years ago, used to have that open-ended essay where, yeah, you could actually talk about a lot of stuff, but now because they're like bang on target, like blah blah blah. So the reason I'm naming all these schools is that Fuqua forever has this question, right? So with Fuqua, we take this liberty, you know, of not following a structure, and I understand that not following a structure, now this is where it becomes difficult for the applicants, to how are they going to go about this, right? I think the way I would do is, I throw examples at people and then I ask them to give me like 30, so break it up into phases, and for each phase give me, let's say, 10, and you can take your time. You can probably, first of all, just dive deep into your childhood, bring 10, and then dive deep into, your adolescence, bring 10, adult 10, early professional life 10 more, and then if there's anything left, right, you also bring those. And then we actually work together that, see, eventually it's about telling a story. I understand that it's though they are saying random things, but eventually overall they need to tell a story. They really need to tell who you are as a person. So I think what we really do is we really dive into whether this is really going in the direction of telling who this person is, because you also got to answer other questions, right? You have contribution over here, right? You also have goals. So you also got to answer the other questions. So we really want to see with this that here we are describing a personality, and is this personality really going ahead with now what we're going to say next? Now when we come to professional life, is this personality, is it matching, or how is it? It's not about matching, it can't be same, but is it complementing? How do these two things going to look together? So for that you need an eye, but it's difficult to provide a structure because it's random things, and because it's Fuqua, we do that, we take that leverage.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate it.
Similarly, similar,
I think,
so it was pretty similar to Rotman's pi case factor as well, right? Just
yeah.
had it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I was trying to, even in the spike factor essays, when I tried to find a similarity, like can we draw something out of it? It's very hard. Same thing goes for 25 random things, that two people are so different and everybody is so unique in their own way. Just allow me a second, guys. Sorry, my bad. Yes. So I think like how I would put as the next step, after you've defined, so at least we can draw that it has to talk about various phases of your life and not just coming from anywhere, like, or only dense in one particular phase of your life, because then, you tend to only talk about a certain part of you and you really let go of the remaining part of you. So, if you guys are working on this essay and if you would like us to give it a read, I think the first step should be to what Shantanu just recommended. We're not going to ask for 10, but maybe from each phase of your life, pick at least three things that you can talk about randomly. Put them in no particular order if you want. You can really put them out there and feel free to share them with us on the email that I'll send out after this session. So that's how we can start. Meanwhile, does anybody have any questions about whatever we've discussed so far for 25 random things? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next question. Anyone? We'll just wait 30 more seconds. All right, I believe we don't have any questions. So we'll move on to Darden essay question. The first essay asks, please describe an example of building community within your personal or professional life. What impact did this have on you and those around you? How will this experience contribute to the way you will build community at Darden?
Mhm. Um, I'm on mute. No, okay. This is again a very interesting question about community building. Again, somehow pretty similar to contribution, right? But I think over here, what we really need to do is you need to throw an example of something that you've done, and then you really need to tie it back to you know um, how like what how can you really contribute, right? um, Over there. And like the last applicant I worked with over here on this one, it was pretty interesting. We were really thinking about, because the applicant could contribute in multiple ways. We had like multiple stuff to contribute. And in Fuqua, I say, by the way, we wrote three contributions, three extremely strong contributions. Now we got to decide which one is going to come over here, because you have the word. This question has a word limit, and it's really very less, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 200 only, 201, 150 only. I'm not able to remember correctly. This is 152 words only.
Shanta,
The
I'm
one.
sorry to cut you short, but can we, like, I know you can't read out the whole essay, but can we talk about that candidate of yours who just bagged a 90K scholarship at
Yes.
Darden?
Yeah,
Maybe
it's the
like
same
some
one.
examples if you can share.
It's the same one, yeah, that I was talking about at the moment. So we actually, yeah. So she I don't want to reveal the identity until now, because I've not take we I don't think we've taken this from her. But she works in marketing. And this person, while working in marketing, just realized an like wonderful insight, which is that the way you generally do marketing is that if you got something in as content, you will just convert it, you will translate it into other language, right? For example, if you have welcome, then I don't know why I just have Dutch in my head. You will have welcome, and then in other countries you'll have, right, different ways of saying it. And she realized that she did that, and a company spent crores on that particular marketing campaign. And just one day before it was launching, she just went ahead and spoke to that particular the other segment, to for whom she translated it. And they realized that no, we don't know Aladdin and Genie. So even though you translate the entire stuff, right, and it was about Aladdin and Genie, right, but culturally those guys did not understand what Aladdin and Genie is, because they didn't grow up watching that, you know so even though the translations were fine, the message didn't sit through. So that was the marketing insight that she had gotten. And this particular insight is where we played the entire game, obviously not in this essay. But since Priti, you asked, right? So that was her USP, the insight that she had gotten. And then simultaneously over here, what we did was that this applicant built um, a community for divorced women. And she's not married, by the way. So, and she always told me, whenever you're going to tell the story, you're always going to tell this. But looking at someone in her family, she decided that she's going to help. And the wonderful words that were written, let me see if these are here. I've included this over here. No, okay. I don't know why. But yeah, in other essays we used, and the sentences were like, I felt that it is not just about staying connected with others, because she realized that the family member of hers, went MIA. She says it's not about connecting, it's about feeling belonged. It's the feeling of belongingness, right? And if you stop feeling that, So other things are just the consequences. So that's why I decided that I'm going to build this community, and then I'm going to continue with this community over here, and then I'm going to prioritize women health and even men health, um, uh, side by side, the professional journey that all of us are going to take at Darden and even beyond.
Got
So
it.
that's
So,
about.
question, did the story or the narrative, of course, building a community somehow relate to her post MBA goals, or no, they weren't related at all?
No,
Okay, got it.
no,
Just wanted.
but it is just that it's something that she had been doing,
Yeah.
and then what she thought that I think outside of the learning life, I think I can also contribute this way.
Okay, got it. Since well, actually we didn't talk about the essay, the other essay, but you did talk about the USP for this candidate a little bit. So can we say that the USP or the differentiator for this candidate was the marketing insight based on the cultural nuances which she got exposed to at a certain point, and then everything she did thereafter was based on that?
That's the core for sure. That's the core for sure. And then, for example, with the help of this essay, we also show the other side of the personality,
Got
right?
it. Got it. So, I think just to summarize for contribution to Darden community, it can be anything, any cause that you care about. I mean, it's not just Darden as a school. A lot of schools like Stanford has building a community as one of their core values. INSEAD has contribution to the community as its core value. So apart from international exposure, so there are a lot of schools. If you're targeting all these schools and if you feel that you haven't done enough for any community yet, and if these goals, these schools are your goals, then it may be time for you to really sit with yourself and introspect. Have I really contributed to a certain community? Have I done something, even if, no matter how big or small, no matter whether it links to your personal, professional goals or not, but it should be something meaningful that you can talk about, which really comes from your personal life. Usually it comes from people's personal life, sometimes even professional lives when they see something happening around them. We have a lot of stories like that, but there should be something that we all should care about. I think that's what business schools really want you to put it out there. They like there's this term, right? Like they're raising empathetic global business leaders. So they want you to be at least a little more emotionally intelligent than the average leaders. So think about the causes that you've cared about and you've given back to. And if you've discontinued at any point in time, then it may be interesting to pick the same causes again so that the story remains collinear and coherent.
Yeah,
Again, for this, if you would like to share something that you've done, there's no right or wrong answer to this. You can talk about any contribution to the community that you've done in your
right.
life.
And guys, this particular applicant, I just want to talk a little more about Paridi, about this applicant. She got through Darden already. We are awaiting at the moment the results, the interview results. The interviews have happened. Um, I really gotta remember. Tuck, Kellogg, Fuqua, Ross, Booth, and there's another one which I'm not able to recall. Um, there's another one. Anyways, yeah. But yeah, that's about how it's the beauty. And by the way, she got rejected at INSEAD.
And
Uh,
yes,
yeah, because and yeah, but yeah, because ESA this time around I mean, majorly they got people who had consulting experience. She doesn't have
yeah,
consulting experience, and she doesn't have any international, like zero international exposure.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
NCR also rejected her straight away.
Yeah. So pick your schools wisely, guys, this time. While, of course, US schools, we do anticipate that the competition is lesser for Asians and Southeast Asians. But again, European schools competition has gone really tight. So I do get, and there are some candidates sitting over here who are asking, like, can I not go for December deadlines? I think we'll touch upon that after we finish the last essay question. Meanwhile, Akshita had a question, so we'll touch upon that quickly. Is it necessary to tie everything to our professional life? So I've answered that, Shantanu, briefly. Absolutely not. the essays specifically mention that. And there are going to be some schools which specifically in the essay question ask you, please do not revolve around your professional life. And might I tell you guys, that's the trickiest part a candidate faces. We are all very good at talking about our professional lives and, the career ladders we've climbed and whatever we've accomplished, but we're not able to really bring out the personal narrative. And that's normally and usually, for whatever I read with all the candidates that Shantanu works with, it's normally the personal angle that really gets you into a top business school. So you really need to know. And of course, it has to be coherent with your professional life. Maybe one essay stands out, only talks about your personal life, but it has to somewhere connect the dot to the next essay, which is going to be talking about your professional life. Shantanu, do you want to add on to that a little bit?
Yeah. Indeed. I mean, so see, just by looking at the essays, you would know whether you should go if the essay says goals, and if the essays say, tell me about a professional achievement, then obviously you got to go professional over there, right? But if the essay says, tell me about an achievement, or, for instance, the essay is saying random things, like 25 random things, or the essay is saying, how are you going to contribute, right? Um, Refrain from professional life, because all that stuff is already there on your resume, right? You did this, you did that, blah, blah, employee of the year. That is already there, right? And they really want to know who you are. And who you are, I mean, your professional life is nothing but a subset of your personal life. Is personally you want to achieve something, and then you have another avatar of yours as your professional life, and you're pushing that avatar of yours to achieve that, so that personally you can really be peaceful. So I think what you really need to do is inject that personality of yours instead of just focusing on the professional life, because that person is really very small compared to who you are. Yeah, that's it, Parvi. So Akshata has another question. By international exposure, do you mean someone who has traveled internationally for professional
Very
aspects,
common question.
say working on a US business client directly, considered as? Yeah, no, I mean, physically moving out of the country, unless until you are a veteran, you know, or you brought like a huge social impact. Like we've seen these two profiles where if someone has brought like huge social impact, then it doesn't matter. They can wave this off, you know.
I think for Akshita, it'll be a little different. Like I've evaluated her profile a little bit. Akshita, just give me a thumbs up or maybe a hands up if I can talk about your profile a little bit here. If you're not comfortable, then Shantanu and I are going to have a chat later. You can just, yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, she's been an entrepreneur. Like, of course, tried at something and then failed at it once, but I mean, still a lot of learnings out there. And then she moved on to freelancing as a consultant with World Bank. And she's been doing that for quite some time. So even though, of course, she works with a lot of international, it depends, like where your narrative is, what kind of a candidate you
Yeah,
are. If you
yeah,
frame that rightly, I think it might be appreciated at NCR and ESA just because, entrepreneur and
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Inside loves entrepreneurs. Like they how do I say? I mean, the moment they see that there's a that someone has done on entrepreneurship, right? They just look at that applicant in a very different way. you know we've helped people at lower scores as well. And yeah, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, and you were an entrepreneur, and now you're at World Bank, I think both the things are pretty attractive. Yeah, worth a shot. I mean, I would say, even if you don't have international exposure, physically moving out of the country.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it like for any average profile, where I can say that, oh, it's very difficult to really find the nuances or a unique selling point or something. This year we are saying that international exposure should technically mean stepping out, not. I mean, in earlier years, we have seen candidates working with us, they still make it through because this year the competition for European schools is really high, naturally because of the geopolitical situation. So you have to mindfully position yourself. But yes, Akshita, in your case, I think you're a great candidate for some of the schools. Anyways, you should take a shot. already. So, okay, moving on to the last essay question. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them here. For Darden Fuqua, we are taking a Ross's question now. What is your, I mean, this is just the typical NEB school question. What is your short-term career goal and how will Ross philosophy in action-based learning help you achieve it? Shantanu, over to you.
Yeah, so I think what's more important over here is to first of all understand what action-based learning is. How many of you are aware, by the way? A quick thumbs up, quick hands up can be helpful, guys.
Okay, only one, but Shantanu, I think you can educate us.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Shiv. So, um, yeah, I know Ross calls it action-based learning. I mean, almost all the V schools have such a thing available, but it's more about who's prioritizing what, you know, and Ross is prioritizing that. That's how they're positioning themselves. Um, it's like a 7-8 week program, I mean, an elective that you can take over there, and then whatever you want to do, you can build from scratch, literally build from scratch, and you learn by doing. It's not that someone just told you, okay, these are the things you study, and then there's an exam, you go and give it. No, you actually build upon it with the help of a professor. You can also build a team if you can convince the other people to be a part of your project, right? I think I've also heard that, let's say if you have a company, if someone is an entrepreneur, or let's say, yeah, and you say that I would also want to research about this specific thing, it's about my company, right? And I would really like to know. um, yeah, Ross. That's exactly what action-based learning is. By the way, guys, I'm from NCR 2017 December batch, and at NCR it's called ISP, Independent Study Project. Um, that you can take up and do whatever with that. And do whatever with that is the biggest challenge. Like, you really gotta structure it. Now there's nothing over there, to help you structure. You go and sit with the professor, you ask them questions, that I think this is what I'm planning to do, and this is how I should do, right? So it's extremely important in this essays to first of all showcase that you're capable of doing, things on your own. And I'm just going to read a short example, like a really very short. I'm not going to read the entire essay because we have note takers over here. So where did it go? As a curious kid, fascinated by Betty Crocker mixes, I soon set my eyes on more elegant elements of the baking universe. Through trial and error, I realized that no recipe is 100% accurate, and that finding the right balance between components is key. This lesson in experimentation and adaptation shaped my approach to problem solving. And then we build upon it, right? So, yeah, I mean, again, if you see, wherever we had the option, even in a professional essay, we brought in, to explain a point, we brought in a personal angle, right? Because we know that the rest of the essay is going to be about professional stuff here and there, right? Um, yeah, and this would be my 2 cents over here to explain a point, explain it through your personal life, and then through professional example. And then when these two things fuse together, that's the beauty, that's the art of the essay. That's it.
Thanks, Shantanu. I think that was very crisp and understandable in just one go. I have no questions. Anybody has any questions about this, please feel free to drop. Also, we do understand after working with so many candidates, again, I will repeat that the professional bit is not going to be tricky for you for any essays. It's going to be the personal angles, then how do you fit it into your professional life and your overall vision as a global business leader post MBA? So my suggestion would be to, if you can really leverage, if you're working on your applications on your own, if you feel confident on that, do refer to our workshops in the past as well. We have tried to touch upon, bits and pieces which are not mentioned anywhere on the web. How you should really be vulnerable in your application. How should you figure out your unique selling points? How should you really touch upon, the differentiators that are how you're going to contribute to the community, and if you're an average profile, what are the aspects that you should be focusing on. So these are some things that help you introspect about your candidacy better than the others. And it is extremely essential to talk about things outside of work all the time. I know that's a question that was there. So, and you should spend more time thinking about it than the professional ones, because I know that's something that's always up in our heads. We've been, of course, sitting out for so many job interviews. We're trying to tell our story to so many people professionally, but it's not the personal story that you've been trying to tell people. So do that, but leverage all the workshops that we've done. You can find them on the YouTube channel. This one also, we'll put it up. But if you are targeting any of the schools for round two, just to announce one last time here, 1st November, tomorrow is the day when we are closing our free ISB application. Because if you're doing US and European schools, even if you're doing one school with us, we are helping all our candidates to do ISB application for free this year, this
Just
cycle.
to be safe in you
Yeah.
because of geopolitics. Yeah.
Yeah, just because of the situation, because a lot of our candidates were interested, and we were like, okay, if we've already done NCR, HEC, or let's say Stanford, Columbia, it becomes easier to do ISB.
Yeah,
So
and
targeting.
we didn't feel like charging for ISB, guys. And another piece of information that I want to give to everyone is it's for you guys. Rotman doesn't have essays this year, so go and apply, all of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fine. You can go ahead and apply. We've known people who've bagged scholarships as well. So if you're a great candidate, no essays, you might just submit your profile to them as is. So do that. So two schools here, ISB, Rotman, anyways, with us. If you're doing, you should go ahead and do that. I don't think I'm missing anything right now. But yes, if round two is on your mind, if you're doing more than three applications, you should already be working on your essays.
Hmm.
To help you understand, for a really good application, on an average, it takes 21 days to pull off. And if you're doing NCR and HEC, it takes longer than that, more than a month. So, because these are bigger applications. So, just a reality check over here. If we've not started working on our application, which where essays are going to make up the most part of it, it's going to eat up your most time. Please focus on that. Any questions around any of the three schools that we've discussed today? What is the next session? So everybody's updated. Let me just take a look quickly on the web.
Meanwhile, Parid is pulling that up. I mean, guys, I don't know if you guys are aware, GMAT had that speaker series, like a 17 days long speaker series. I was also a part of it. I was also a speaker over there, and I think by the end they were. So I mean, I think overall there were 15, 16 people that joined, right? For the interview prep, and I could see over here, and I know it's been me and Paridhi, right, and a few note takers, that without any marketing at all, like this session, guys, is without any marketing, so it's really good to see. It's really good to see those who have joined over here. Yeah, that's it. And if you guys don't have any questions, about time we
Yeah.
wrap up.
Yeah, we will wrap up. Next session is on November 14th, Tuck Yale and NYU's turn. And yes, along with, as we speak about NYU Stern, I strongly urge you all to look into NYU Stern Abu Dhabi campus. There is a reason for that. When we are, of course, short on opportunities in the US, we should also explore other geographies which are flourishing at the moment and are going to continue to flourish. So, if we are a smart MBA applicant, we will definitely explore other geographies as well. So would love for you to explore Abu Dhabi campus, and schools like NUS and HKUST should also be on your radar. That's our 2 cents for today. I think we're good. Next session is November 14. Hope to see you there. And the last one we are doing is on Haas, MIT, and Cornell, and that's going to be on November 28th.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
For joining today. Thank you.